Hey everyone, today's going to be a bit of a Loungeroom Reno behind the scenes update video for you. Don't know what else I'll end up adding onto it, but I'm just sitting down here now and finalising a couple of things for this wall of cabinetry that Dan has built in. So you can see it behind me. We just need to finish off the skirting board at the bottom, but basically the reason why we ended up going with this particular style, which is actually from IKEA, is we had a bunch of different options. We had a quote for custom cabinetry that came in at about $14,000. Then I spoke to a cabinetry business about doing some promotional work for them. The quote came in at about, again, $14,000, but they were going to offer me a 50% discount down to $7,000 if I promoted their business for them and their software and created a bunch of content for Instagram, which I just didn't really want to do. It's just, I know it probably sounds like it's worth it, but $7,000 for all that work with everything else that I've got going on at the moment with brands and other deals, it just wasn't worth my time. And I didn't really want to spend $7,000 anyway, even with that discount in mind, for just a simple small wall of cabinetry. It just seems so expensive. Like, it's wild that that's what people pay. So the next option, which I found just online, was this Billy bookshelf IKEA hack. So that's what these are. They're basically just 4 Billy bookshelves with the extenders on the top because it's such a tall wall. And then we've just kind of made it look a little bit more custom by building it in and putting the skirting around the bottom. And then what I'm doing now this morning is just selecting some handles, because I don't want to use the standard IKEA ones. The ones that came with it are just a small white knob, and I'm thinking that I'll go for something brass, something a little bit different. I don't usually like handles. You've probably heard me say that before. I like to go for a push open close option wherever I can, but with these I think we don't obviously have that option. It's not a push close open mechanism, so we definitely need handles. So I'm just having a look at some options now. And I've got my measuring tape so I can just check that they're going to fit, because it's only a really small space where the knobs can fit. What I'm going to do now is, while that's drying, I'm going to start putting some shelving in and have a little play around with styling. I can definitely tell you that it's going to take me hours to style these little spaces, which probably sounds ridiculous, but it just is. Like, I don't want it to look too cluttered. I've got lots of different pieces that I want to use, like books and vases and candles and different things, but I'm such a perfectionist. Like, even just styling the office shelves probably took me like 2 hours. So yeah, I reckon it's going to take me a good day or so to get it all sorted, but we'll see. And I'm going to try and film most of that, because I've had so many people ask me to show more of that simple styling, which I never thought people would find interesting. And it's probably just going to be a lot of me moving stuff around back and forth, but if that's what you want to see, that's what I'm going to show you. This space has changed a lot in the last 2 weeks, made some good progress, still a lot to do. Just little things like patching the doors. We've got new hardware coming. The curtains are arriving hopefully tomorrow. I put the pot in the corner there, thinking that I'll put some of the leaves from outside, the bird of paradise, into that, because there's so many leaves. I can probably cut like 5 off it every week and we'll never run out. So I think that could look cute in the corner. And that pot's just from our home office, but because I'm not working in the home office anymore, I don't need it there. So I thought I'd bring it out here because it's such a beautiful pot. So tomorrow the TV is going to be mounted up on the wall. I've got some TV mount specialists coming to do that. It is costing $610, but that includes the bracket, and they'll mount our sound bar to the wall as well. I just think it looks ridiculous sitting on the TV unit because it is such a big TV. It's 85-inch, so that definitely needs to go up on the wall. We hung the print yesterday, which looks beautiful. That's from Life in Ink, and that was gifted. And then I had it framed by the Frame Warehouse, which is a local framing company in Brisbane. And then this is the finished cabinetry wall. I have finished painting the skirting. I did 3 coats, so it still looks super fresh and white and very stark against the IKEA furniture. What I have noticed with Lexicon Quarter is it does warm over time, which is crazy, but you can see a real difference looking at our kitchen compared to the sunroom, which was more freshly painted. So it does warm up over time. But anyway, I'm not too bothered by the difference in white, as I've said before. And also there's going to be a couch in front of that, so you probably won't even see the skirting, not from this angle anyway. So I'm going to show you the styling. I'm not finished. There's nothing at the top because I can't reach up there without a ladder. So I'm not sure what I'm going to put up there, but whatever goes up there is not going to be something that I need to reach often, whereas in the cabinets at the moment I will be regularly using those vases. So I'm going to open up because there's a lot of reflection there and take you through my styling. Okay, so now I've opened the cabinets, you can actually see in there without the reflection. So just very quickly wanted to go through my styling tips, if you will. So the first thing that I would say is I'm not a professional. I have styled 3 different houses and changed things up regularly. That's as experienced as I am, but I do think I have a bit of an eye for it. And there's just a couple of basic things that I do when I'm styling that I can share with you that would be my tips. And I'm not sure if they're necessarily right or wrong. I personally think that styling is quite subjective. I don't think that there are any rules as such. I think obviously there's certain ways you compare things that will look better than others, but I think there's no right or wrong. I think you just have to have fun with it and do what you like. But if I could summarize it, I would say when I start out, I grab a bunch of vases, vessels, candles, books, and photos. And that's probably the main elements that I use. I would definitely usually use plants. I use plants in all rooms and all styling, but because these cabinets are closed, it doesn't feel right to have a plant inside. I'm not sure why. I'm sure it will still survive. I hate fake plants. I don't do fake plants anywhere in my house, so I haven't put any greenery in yet, and I might not. Maybe succulent or something, I'm not sure. So apart from that, the next thing that I would say is just balancing things out, and symmetry is probably how I would put it. So if I look back at how I styled this yesterday without even thinking of it, I naturally balance things out. And as an example, if I've got a stack of 3 books on the right hand side on one shelf, then I might do a stack of 2 books on the left hand side on another shelf, on the bottom shelf for example, and then another 2. So there's sort of not, you'll see that there's no 2 books on the same level, 3 books on the same level. It's kind of spaced out to balance things out. And just in terms of heights, I play around with different heights as well, so try to utilise the space. I'm not using the full square in each shelf, but I'm just trying to make the most of the space and balance that out as well by playing with different heights, and then just sort of placing different things equally throughout the 4 shelves. So, 1 photo frame in each, for example, a couple of books in each, vessels in each, candles in each, rather than having them all in the same area, the same cluster. And then the only other thing I'd say is just in terms of colour palette, so I've kind of kept that to be a bit more of a blue focus. This one's where I've got like the peach and the peach covered book. And then there's bits of yellow and mustard on this one, and then the orange in the last bookshelf, which I'm not finished yet. None of this is finished. You'll see this change a fair bit over the next week or so while I fill it up and finalise it. But that's really it. They're kind of the main things that I would focus on. I do play around with it a lot, so I'm not sure if it's the video before or after this where I'll insert it, but What you would have noticed is when I was styling it all up, I just constantly kept changing pieces around. I just kind of throw them in and move them around and then just see what works. Just stop, step back, have a look, and then sort of rebalance it out. But that's it really. It's pretty simple. I don't think, as I said, that there's any rules. Just kind of place things, think of balance, think of symmetry, think of your colour palette, different textures, and just keep playing around with it until you think that you've got it right, and don't overcrowd. I think there's nothing worse than that. I think just a few key pieces is ideal rather than crowding the spaces. So that's it. I hope that's useful. New handles have arrived for the Billy bookshelves. So let's see how they look. Quite happy with those. I think the sizing's just right. Got to cut the bolt down obviously to size, but I think they're going to look really good. I've got 16 of them because there's so many doors on this cabinet. So the sofa's arrived, which I will be showing on Instagram soon. Just getting this lounge room ready for the first reveal and finishing all the styling of the cabinets, which has been lots of back and forth and adding bits and pieces. So I went shopping today. I've got some new cushions and a bunch of things from Pillow Talk. So I'm going to end the video there. I've now revealed this space on Instagram, so you would have seen it in a lot more detail. And I finished all of the styling behind me, so did buy a couple more pieces as I showed you. So now everything is completed. And that is it for the Loungeroom Reno behind the scenes. If you've got any questions, just pop them below in the comments or reach out on Instagram. Thanks for watching.